All right, good afternoon, fellow traders and investors. This is the QQQ. Now, I'm not trying to sound like AJ Monty from Market Rebellion, but this is an interesting day, hasn't it been? I mean, it's just a roller coaster ride today. We hit the 272 levels. We tapped the SMA 20 as predicted in last week's video, and we pull sharply back to the 265. And here we're trending back towards the 270 mark. So let's take a look at what happened. Obviously, the Bitcoin dropped about $3,000 at some point during this day, and it just kind of just blew away all the calls almost instantly. Okay. So as you remember from last week's video, we said that, hey, we're going to see an uptick, okay, a slight move to the 271. We did hit that today. All right. We hit that and we went up to 272. But the volume wasn't there. But it wasn't until the dip down to 265 support that you saw a lot of volume start coming in, going for the dip buy. All right. So we have a lot of we do have catalysts over the next 2 days. We have the elections tonight. All right. A lot of folks are speculating that the red wave and the Republicans are going to take the House. And then, of course, we have the CPI data coming up on Thursday. All right. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But we hit the SMA 20 and we pull back. And now we just got a doji on the day. But I do like the volume. But check it out. I mean, even though the dip buyers did come in, look at the volume that we had over the last several days compared to today. Just isn't it's not that significant because it's still trending under SMA 20 on the average volume. All right, so this is my projection for tomorrow. So we're here at 269. I'm going to go over a 30-minute chart, and we've been talking about this area for the last several days, haven't we? So back here, you have some support at October 28th. We fell down here and we hit that area, which became what? Support and resistance. And it went up to 273, almost to 273 today, and pulled sharply back down. And then now we're back into this area of the green zone. This is the green zone that I hate because it's a lot of chop here. There's a lot of support, but a lot of resistance going into tomorrow. So tomorrow should be pretty straightforward. I mean, if we pump overnight for the election, so I think we're going to open up. If we're going to, looks like we can open up, at least reattempt this 272, 273 area, all right, and potentially put us back over the simple moving average 20-day. All right. If not, then we could see another pullback to 265. Either way, I think there are some great opportunities going into tomorrow where we will be in this range here, and it's good enough for swings on both sides. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking here. So, and of course, any dip is going to really be bought up tomorrow because the market wants to see the CPI data come out as well. So my game plan for tomorrow is just kind of wait and watch. If we get out of this area on the downside, I'll buy the puts down to 265. If we get out of this area and start hitting this 270 mark, okay, then we can go move back up, and then we'll probably take a pause there. All right. But if we break out, hello, we're going to see there's not a ton of resistance until about the 275. All right. And the 278. Remember, support becomes resistance and resistance becomes support. This was support back in the late October. So this was going to be support. And now we blew through that back in November 2nd. So this is going to become an area of resistance. So you have options here. If we move out of 270, we could target 273 and 275. All right. And then wait to see what happens there. All right. But if we start coming down here and there's kind of this ridiculous sell-off, I think you can expect that 265 is going to hold tomorrow. All right. As far as the CPI data, I'm going to state this once again. I do think we're going to come in hot. All right. The forecast is 8.0. A lot of folks are saying, some of the banks are saying 8.1. It's going to come in line. I do think it's going to come in unexpectedly high, like 8.5 to 8.9 range. All right. And that's what I'm expecting. So once we, shake out the day, towards the end of the day, probably, if we're going to be up here, all right, towards the end of the day tomorrow, I'm going to buy puts for the downside back to 265 on the CPI release. Okay. So we'll take it one step at a time. So that's the cues for you. Going to Tesla. All right. I mentioned this morning that we're going to fill this gap from May 2021. And we did. 189 was the low of the day, and then it held. 186, sorry, was the low of the day, and it held. And now you got kind of this red hammer and high volume. All right. So Tesla is a good one tomorrow to watch to see if this, well, number one, it's got a gap to fill to about 195, 196 area, and we'll go from there. So upside target, it may try to attack the 200 mark. So I'm going to put a target here of 200 going into tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So that's Tesla. Apple still closed and not managing, not able to close above 140, which has been resistance. We did go to 141 today at the highs, and that was about it. All right. And the lows was 138. So nice pump on Apple, but it just wasn't able to get back up here. So a lot of choppage around this area. Doesn't know. It just feels like the public or the market just doesn't know what to do with Apple at this range, right? Anything can happen. So look at this range right here that we're just kind of stuck in. And this looks kind of like the Qs as well. We're just stuck in this range where we can't get out of, and the market doesn't know what to do. All right. So if the CPI does come in hot in the next 2 days, I do expect we're going to make new lows. All right. I said it in last week's video. We're going to hit 254. I do think we're going to go there at some point this week, or at least most likely Thursday, if that CPI is what I'm expecting to be fairly hot year over year. All right. So with that being said, thank you for your thoughts, your prayers for my wife. She's doing okay. Little shooken up, adrenaline rush. Most likely the car's totaled, which is cool. It's an excuse to buy a new car, paid by the insurance companies. And it wasn't her fault either. She wasn't at fault. So it should be pretty good. Her back hurts, etc. But I think she's a big girl now, so she'll be okay. Real quick before I go, McKellen oscillator. Okay. Definitely a lot of buying today off that dip. It felt like that was such a controlled drop. And also the pump back up, you saw the volume and the oscillators turning up pretty heavily on into the overbought territory on the McKellen oscillator. So once again, that's the game plan for tomorrow. You guys know my levels here. All right. And I will see you guys tomorrow.